Local programming on KRWG made possible in part by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to Fronteras, a Changing America. I'm Edmundo Resendez. On today's Fronteras, we take a look at the needs of our community. Karina Wallace spent 3 years living in Seattle's Gasworks Park. Her story shares a common thread with many others struggling with homelessness, childhood trauma. The following story was produced by Stacy Jenkins and Jen Germain.
I didn't understand what was really going on with me. I didn't think that what I was doing was wrong. But it was really because I didn't want to deal with the emotions and everything that happened to me. I was born in Tomsk, Russia, Siberia, and my mother was an alcoholic. She would black out and she was very abusive to me. But I got taken away from her when I was about, I think, 5.5. And I got taken to an orphanage. There was a lot of just terrible things going on behind the scenes with the staff and the kids there, you know, like sexual abuse and physical abuse.
This was the courthouse. This is where I went and officially adopted Karina. And then afterwards told Karina that she was now officially my daughter. I knew I couldn't handle a toddler. I mean, they have so much energy. So I thought, well, maybe I could get a young child, like maybe 5 or 6.
I remember
my first impression of her, all the kids were crying except her. And she had this bag of candy and went around and talked to each one of them real quietly. He gave them each a piece of candy. And I told the woman, I said, you know, I think this is the one. I knew I wasn't getting a blank slate. I knew I was getting a kid who had some issues. I just didn't know how deep they were.
I had a lot of mental health issues. I've been diagnosed with PTSD, and it's like an emotional detachment disorder. I started to use drugs, and I started running away.
I mean, she was skipping school, wasn't doing her homework, skipping out the window when she stole all my family heirlooms and my mother's diamond ring, all of our sterling silver, jewelry, everything. And I thought, I cannot, I've done it, I'm done.
She did say, like, I can't have you stay with me anymore, and you're 18, like, you need to get your life in order.
When we had the car, we had a lot of blankets. So we would take our blankets and set up like a little bed right here. And we slept there sometimes. Yeah.
Being homeless every day, waking up not knowing where you're gonna go, it's something that ran through my head every single day. I did drop out of high school with 15 credits, and I was getting ready to graduate. I was so close. We were both like in just not like very good relationships, and having him like as a really close friend really is what helped me. It's kind of, I guess, what I really needed. Having somebody like wanting to take a picture of us and hear our story, it kind of made us listen to our own story. It made us want to make our story better.
Yeah, today I'm taking the GED math test.
Seeing my boyfriend finish his GED really motivated me to get into the healthcare field. I feel like I'm in a really healthy spot in my life right now. And I do live in my own apartment. It is my first apartment that I've ever had.
I noticed that it was kind of a series of steps as she progressed along over months. It wasn't like boom. I would say, 6 to 8 months, but it just slowly got better.
I have a great relationship with my mom, and I feel that's one of the things that makes me the happiest. That's why I really want to make something of myself, and I want to go to college. I want to do something challenging for my life, and I think I just want to keep making her proud.
The United Way of Southwest New Mexico works to provide the most effective venue for giving and effecting change in our community. William Connor is the CEO of the United Way of Southwest New Mexico. He is our guest on today's Fronteras at Changing America. William, welcome to Fronteras.
Thank you, Edmundo. I appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about United Way and what the work that we're doing here in southern New Mexico.
Let's get a little bit of background from you,
Sure.
because you've been with the United Way for a little bit over a year. Where did you come from before you got to United Way?
Well, I came to United Way, as you mentioned, a little over a year ago. And prior to that, I'd spent 37 years with El Paso Electric. So grew up. I started to work with El Paso Electric when I was in college here at New Mexico State, and was able to parlay that into a full career, and spent different areas of the company, both here in Las Cruces and also in El Paso. And finally, after about 37 years, I had the opportunity to retire, and decided to take that and make a change. And this opportunity with United Way came about, and I thought made a good transition for me. It's obviously a totally different venue, going from a for-profit utility to a nonprofit that's doing community work. But I think it paralleled a lot of the community involvement that I had while I was with El Paso Electric, and actually gave me an opportunity to stay here in the community and really start working on some important issues and things that we can do here within our community to help improve lives across all of southern New Mexico.
You graduated from NMSU, almost 40 years ago?
Yeah, I don't like thinking of it that way, but yes.
One of the things that fascinates me is because, living in Las Cruces, I've been involved with many different nonprofit organizations throughout the community, and it seemed that I would bump into you in many of these nonprofit organizations.
Yeah.
Why was it important for you to be involved with nonprofit organizations, though you had a successful career with El Paso Electric?
Well, I think just being a good corporate partner, I thought, was an important thing for El Paso to do, and I had the opportunity to kind of do those representations out in the community. So it was a good chance. Obviously, there's a great organization that was investing money in the community, and by being on the board, we were able to help to drive some of those funds to some of these worthy organizations that I volunteered for. But there was, as a different, whether it was American Red Cross, the Greater Chamber, we did the White Sands Film Festival for a number of years, was able to do some work with economic development on Movita's board, and did probably the last ones that I was helping out with was the Las Cruces Public School Foundation. And so did that for about 6 years, and it was great work working with the staff at LCPS and all of that stuff. But also did a lot of work on the military. I still chair even though I've transitioned to a different job, I still chair the Military Affairs Committee for the Chamber, and do a lot of advocacy work on behalf of the military bases here in our area.
How have the needs grown in Doña Ana County, or just New Mexico as a whole? Because you oversee, is it 6 counties?
6 counties. So
where are the needs of these 6 counties as far as how the United Way can help?
Well, I think they're diverse needs, and that's the nice part about this past year of kind of learning the nonprofit world, especially from the United Way standpoint, is starting to do work up in Silver City or in Grant County, and I've started reaching out to Deming and Luna County and doing some stuff, and you start to learn that there's different needs in some respects throughout all the different counties, whether it's childhood education is critical for southern New Mexico, or for Doña Ana County. We're involved with the Success Partnership with Engage that's doing a lot of work on the education front, but especially the childhood education front. But I see that work being done with a different organization in Luna County, and so we're trying to help with them as they start to plan out. They do it in a different model, but it's still effective, trying to be effective for their own community. And we see that up in Grant County, whether it's struggling with with jobs and trying to ensure that they have good paying jobs in that community, but how do they transition into a community that's really focused a lot on tourism, and how can they build on that, but also start addressing some of the kind of the healthcare needs, and whether it's homelessness or the opioid epidemic, they all touch each of the communities in a little different way. And that's what I like about the work that we do at United Way, is that we'll partner with nonprofits that are actually out there in these communities and doing that work. And our partnership obviously comes with some money that we can help to invest along the way. And it's important for those organizations as they continue to do the work that they're doing.
How does the United Way go about raising funds for community impact?
For our community impact, we still work under the kind of the old traditional United Way model, which was going and doing campaigns with businesses. Those campaigns were basically workplace campaigns where we went to the employees and gave them the opportunity to make donations through payroll deduction. And that's how I got involved with United Way, through El Paso Electric's campaign. And it was a very simple way from my standpoint looking at it, where they would take whatever I had designated on a monthly or on a paycheck basis, and once I got used to doing that, I never missed it.
You don't feel it.
You don't miss it, because I never really had it. But I now realize how important that is from an organizational standpoint, because we are pooling all of those monies together, and we're able to create some kind of a larger impact for the community. And so that's kind of the message that we take to employees, the employers that are allowing us to do campaigns. We usually do our campaigns in the fall, so we start around the September time frame. But that being said, if somebody called me up and said we'd like to do a campaign at our office, we'd be happy to come out and talk a little bit about the work that we're doing for United Way, and why their donations on a very simple thing, payroll deduction, can make a big difference for the community. We're also looking to expand kind of our funding model. So we'll look at applying for grants with other organizations, if we can partner with them to address a specific need or a specific program that we're looking to run. We'll go after those grant monies. And then the third thing that we'll be looking at is kind of special events fundraising. It's not something that United Way, at least in the more current history, has really done. So it'll be something new for us, but it gives us an opportunity to raise some funds, but also help to raise awareness of the organization and the work that we're doing. So look out this fall or late summer, early fall. We're working on an event we think will be kind of special. So,
well, let's talk about ways that the United Way of Southwest New Mexico can stand out, because there is a national campaign, I know, tied in with the NFL and other sports, right, that the United Way has tie-ins marketing-wise nationally.
Right.
How do you go about promoting and marketing the United Way of Southwest New Mexico out into the community, getting the word out about what you do?
Well, I think that's a good point, and I think the one that you just brought up is when I first took the job, what I was looking to do was, because we do have a larger organization, United Way Worldwide, that works on creating some content that we can potentially use out into the field in the smaller United Ways that operate in all the communities. So we took a program that they had partnered with the NFL, the Character Playbook, and last year approached them about bringing that to southern New Mexico. And I guess I asked the question at the right time. Before, in the past, they had only ran the Character Playbook program in NFL market.
And we're not an NFL market.
We're not an NFL market.
Don't tell that to Dallas Cowboy fans.
Right, that's right. But so when I asked the question, it would just happen to be at the right time because they were looking to expand the program into smaller markets, non-NFL market areas. And so we took that opportunity and were able to bring the Character Playbook program, which is a 6-module lesson plan that is delivered at the middle school level. And it's really a character building, but it's also an anti-bullying type of message. And so we brought the Character Playbook. The Las Cruces Public Schools was gracious enough to look at, they got excited about the possibility of it. And so this past year, we were able to implement it. And it had its little bumps in the road just simply because it was a new program being brought into the community. But at the end of the day, we were able to get a little over 3,000 students involved in that process. I think it was at the end of January. We had a nice little event. The NFL team that actually sponsored our program was the Arizona Cardinals. So we had a kind of a Facebook Live event with a couple of alumni from the Arizona Cardinals, and they talked to a number of the different schools that participated in the program. And so it was a nice event that kind of capped off the work that we're doing. And so,
and through that, word spreads about the United
Sure.
Way because you're delivering the message out to students.
Sure.
The students tell their parents become more aware of that.
Right. So all the kids got a little Character Playbook rally towel that they were able to take home. But they were able to talk a little bit about the program. I think the LCPS staff is happy with the way the program rolled out, and so we'll be looking to do that again. But in my conversations with United Way Worldwide, I'm also looking to say, I've got a bunch of other school districts in my area.
Yeah,
Is
you've
it
got
possible
Silver,
to,
you've got Deming.
So we'll probably be looking to contact those school districts to see if they have an interest in working the program. And we have now a little bit of history with the organization that actually does the implementation of the it's all software based, and so the software system. I think we have a history of showing that we'll get the kids involved in the program, and so I think we have a good track record that we can hopefully bring it to communities like Silver City or Deming and their public school districts.
Talk to me about some of the challenges that you face because you have a very small staff.
Right, yeah.
And you work with the volunteer board. What are some of the challenges that you face as the CEO for United Way of Southwestern Mexico?
Well, I think they're similar to what any nonprofit kind of faces. We all have the volunteer board, and so it's trying to develop a board that's diverse, that has a number of different interest levels, but are willing to get involved in the mission of the organization. And I think we're starting to bring that back. I know when I first came on board, the board was a little small, so we've been able to grow it by a couple of positions. And their involvement, one of the positions was Bridget Ziegelhofer with LCPS. And so it was through that connection and that involvement that we were able to put the Character Playbook program at LCPS, or at least open the door for that possibility. And so that's the challenge, I think, of any of the nonprofits here locally or in the region, is how can we build a diverse board that brings some skill levels, but also understands the role of the board. I don't necessarily need the board to be there on a day-to-day basis, but from a strategy and from a vision standpoint, I need them to buy in. And obviously, when we look to do fundraising, they'll have a role in that process too.
I want to mention that's a big role because you're looking to them to work with their connections in the community.
Right. Yeah. So it is, and I was part of that on the other side. Because,
I remember quite well.
Yeah. So
especially through the Chamber of Commerce.
That's right. And so we kind of know how that works. And so those are the types of people that we're looking for. And I talk a little bit about the nonprofits in the community. One of the things that when I came on board, and another organization was looking to do this, but we've kind of pulled a monthly group of nonprofit leaders here in the community, and we're starting to meet on a regular basis. And part of it is just to kind of talk about what are the issues that we all face, especially as leaders of organizations, and use it as kind of a peer-to-peer networking session. If you have issues, or if you have an issue with a board member, how did so-and-so deal with it? Maybe you can provide some help. But it's also support and also building a knowledge base of what other organizations are doing here in the community, so that we all kind of raise our awareness on one hand, but the other hand, it gives us an opportunity to kind of look to see if maybe we want to partner with somebody and work on a different program together. And I think your organization, we were just at a meeting a few weeks ago, and that was part of that whole conversation. I think it's an exciting thing that Engage is coming together with KRWG, and we want to be a part of that to help kind of send that message on making sure that program is successful here in the community. And those are the things that, from my standpoint, it's all been about collaboration, and part of that collaboration is just starting to get to know each other and start to build a level of trust that we can all work together.
Let's talk about the process that nonprofit organizations can go about to secure funds from the United Way in Mexico. When does it start, and when does it wrap up, and what is it that you look for?
Well, what we're doing for United Way ourselves, we basically look in 3 what we call collective impact areas. And our funding is kind of focused, one, on basic needs or basic health, programs that work in kind of that model, whether it's food, so we do a lot of work with the food pantries, whether it's homelessness, because we do have some funding that goes with Community of Hope, and so that's one area of focus that we have. Another area is education, so it makes it very broad that we want to focus our work in. And the third is financial stability. And so what our process is we open up a grant allocation process. Last year we did it on June 1st, and we'll probably look to do that same process. So June 1st we'll open it up, give organizations about a month to apply for funds. Basically,
how big is the grant? I mean, how difficult is it for a nonprofit to apply for this grant?
We try to make it as simple as possible. The grants are only in 10,000 increments, so it's a $10,000 grant. And so we're looking for them to kind of either have an inherent program that they're already working on, and ones that we know, or if there's another program that they're looking to try or bring to the community, and kind of build kind of a program of work that they are anticipating some need, some help in funding. Those are the application process is still relatively simple, but we do ask that the organization be a 501c3, and so that's probably one of the biggest requirements that's needed. But that whole process, we give them till the whole month of June. At the end of the month, we'll close that process and then begin our own internal review of the applications. What we do is, after that's done, then the initial cut is done, then we form what we call an allocation committee, which is volunteers, those that especially have participated in our campaigns especially, give them an opportunity to come together, review the applications, the grant applications, and then we'll ask those organizations that have made it that far to sit for an interview. It's usually a very quick interview. They'll talk a little bit about their program, but also answer any questions that the allocation committee has. And at the end of the day, then that committee will make a funding recommendation which we'll take to the board, and that whole process, hopefully we'll get the funds out. We did it this year, September 1st, and so we give them a year, basically 3 fundings or 3 different periods of funding for that grant. Starts September the 1st, and we'll wrap like this last year. We'll have one more reporting session, and then they'll get the remainder of their grants.
Can you name some of the organizations that you contributed to?
Sure.
last year?
I mean, we've done work with the Boys and Girls Club here in Las Cruces, Community of Hope, Casa de Peregrinos, Casa, La Casa we've done some work with, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, we've provided some grant funding. We've done the Girl Scouts of America, Girl Scouts of the Desert Southwest, I should say. And what's unique about them is because we do funding both here and then also in Grant County. Girl Scouts of America, we were able to fund both here in Doña Ana County, Grant County, and actually in Hidalgo County.
Bill, I want to thank you very much for joining us on
Great.
Fronteras of Changing America. Thank you for watching Fronteras of Changing America. I'm Edmundo Resendez.